What's up everybody, Gentleman94 here, back with another episode of Ben Builds. Today we are continuing on the F-105 Thunderchief. As you can see here, we have both wings secured, glued onto the fuselage. We also have placed on both of the landing gear struts. Gotta tell you, these are really flimsy and I'm not really sure how to fix that, so we'll have to come back and address that. Right now, I'm putting on the rear horizontal stabilizers, and these are going to just simply fit into the back of the fuselage. This one fits really well. It's got a nice shape to it. I want to make sure that they are clean, that they fit flush against the fuselage. The Thunderchief has a little awkward look to its wings. Its main wings tend to droop down, whereas the rear horizontal stabilizers tend to tilt up a little bit. Now, I don't know if that's exactly the way it is in real life. All the pictures I've looked at, it looks something like that, so we're just going to say that it's probably closer to true than false. I'm pretty sure these entire stabilizers move as a single unit. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the next one and glue that on as well. We're going to do the same type of technique we've been using from the beginning of a model here. We're going to sand off any imperfections, file it down with our jeweler files, maybe come in, scrape it a bit with the hobby knife, and then we're going to test fit. Make sure everything fits together nicely, and if it doesn't fit together nicely, we're going to take it back off, rearrange it, maybe give it a little more filing, a little more sanding until it is ready to go. So both of these are going to just fit right into that hole. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Should fit well enough. And you can see this one is a lot looser than the other one. There's a lot more wiggle room in this. I don't think it's going to be a problem though. But we'll go ahead and glue it up and see if that doesn't help. If anything, we can stick a little plastic welder in there just to kind of help to bond them together. Just a little bit of extra thin cement, of course, by Tamiya. And just place that in there. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. There we go. Looks pretty good. I want to make sure that this is going to stay, so we're going to give it one more bead of glue down each side of it, and we're going to call this one completed. Check the dihedral, make sure everything looks good, everything's great, so set that aside. Next, we're going to go ahead and work on one of the more finicky areas, and I've been kind of dreading working on this. It's going to be the landing gears. Now, the Thunderchief has a really tall main landing gear, mostly because the wings are attached to the center of the fuselage. That being the way it is, requires an extra long strut here for the main landing gears. Problem being is that one of the areas I think that they could have improved for this model are the connections between the main landing gears and the wings. There's such a small locating pin down there that it's very difficult to get in there and get enough plastic to plastic contact. So we are hoping that our little struts and gears and all these extra things that you attach onto the gear itself will help to kind of stabilize them up a little bit, secure them up. I can't be 100% certain. Now, each of these landing gears will have two struts attached to the base of the gear. One is going to go on the front side, one is going to be on the back side, and they're just going to glue into the bottom of the gear bay and into the side of the landing gear strut itself. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of super glue and I'm going to kind of flood the area right and around the joint and hopefully try to solidify these up a little bit more because they are wiggling like crazy. And even though they are dry and the glue has been dried for a little while now, they still shift back and forth. And I don't want a lot of lateral flexibility with these landing gears. So we're going to take a little bit of super glue and we're just going to coat the area right around the tab, right around the connection, just to give it a little bit more rigidity. Now, I wouldn't recommend pouring a whole bunch on there, but just a little bit ought to help. Now, we can also attach on the gear struts themselves. There's two main struts that go from about the center of the gear down to the floor of the landing gear well. So we're going to have to do those. And you want to really check your instructions here because they're a little confusing. Also check your references to which way these things go. And there are two locating tabs, one at the base inside the gear well and one on the landing gear itself. The one on the landing gear is kind of soft and hard to see. It's not real crisp or clear. I like to take a little bit of glue, place it into the locating pin on the floor of the gear well. Then go ahead and then attach your part. Once that's a little tacky, put some glue on the upper part that attaches the landing gear and shift that into place. then maybe hold it, maybe clamp it with your tweezers, and just call it a day. You're going to want to put enough glue there that makes sure that it actually holds. It's going to be tough. Either way you look at it, it's going to be tough. So you're going to want to make sure that you get that right in there. A little bit of glue should help quite a bit. And also, you're going to want to use your tweezers or maybe a hobby knife to go ahead and position as best as you can. So that's looking good. There's actually 4, 2 on each gear, like I said before. So we're going to go ahead and do that off camera because it takes a long time just to get one of them there. So we have 3 more to go. So we'll go ahead and do that off camera. Can't stress it enough, guys. Make sure to check your references because sometimes they're wrong. And if you're really trying to go for accuracy, you're going to want to check those. Okay, so we are back. I have attached all 4 struts and the 2 main struts as well. The main struts are very simple. There's one locating tab on the gear. There's one locating tab on the wheel well. You just place them, glue them, and hope for the best. So we're going to have to go ahead and leave this for a good while. So we're actually going to move on to something totally different and let this dry. The rear horizontal stabilizers are on, and I also attached the top area here on top of the engine cone. That was not really fitting too well, so I had to do some doctoring on that. But yeah. So we're going to go ahead and let that sit probably for a couple of days. Let it solidify, make sure all the parts and pieces are glued together. You know, we want to make sure these are going to be stable and secure. That's one of the reasons why I'm not going to jump right into painting or anything like that, because I want to make sure that all the glue is 100% dry. Then when we come back next episode, we're probably going to go ahead and get out the airbrush, and we're going to paint the gear walls, the inside gear bay. We're going to paint the gears themselves, the wheels, the front gear, probably put on the front gear bay doors. But we're going to step aside for that now. We're going to work on something a little different, actually. So what I have in front of me here is something called Future Floor Polish, and it's in this little glass jar here, and I'm going to be dipping my clear parts into it. Now, why would I be doing that, you ask? Well, Future has this amazing ability to make clear parts look even cleaner and more transparent. I don't know how it does it, but it does. And also, it has the added benefit of giving it a nice protective coat. So if you're touching them and masking them and doing all sorts of things with the canopy, you won't mar it up, you won't get your fingerprint oils all over it. It just makes things a lot better. So we're going to first off prep the clear parts. We want to clean them up, use our jeweler file, use a little hobby knife, whatever we need to do, clean them up, get them ready. And then we're going to dip them into the Future. Now, Future is amazing stuff. I mentioned it briefly in my decal video. It can be used as a top coat before decal placement. It can be used as a clear coat after decal placement. It can be used to tint canopies. You can mix it with, say, food coloring or clear paint, and you can actually tint clear parts with it, like canopies for F-16s or I think F-4 Phantoms might have had some slightly bluish tint to it. You can actually do that with the Future, so that's really cool. You can put it in your airbrush and just spray it on. You can do amazing things with Future. Today, like I said, we're just going to dip our clear parts into it and give them a nice protective coat and to give them a better transparency effect. We just need one paper towel. We're just going to clamp on with our tweezers, dip the part into the Future, give it a little bit of a shake, let some of the excess run off, and we're going to place it onto the paper towel. Now the cool thing about Future is it's self-leveling, meaning you don't have to worry too much if it's going to kind of collect in the corners, because it will actually kind of flow and even itself out by itself. So much nicer than having to go in and touch up different parts or dip it a few times. Also, you can actually thin it down with rubbing alcohol to give it a little bit less of a sheen. I think you can mix it with, I think, lighter fluid. I think does the same job. Or you can actually go out and buy some flat base and you can mix it with that and give it a satin finish. So it's great stuff. We'll do that with the front of the canopy as well. The only drawback to Future that I see is it takes quite a while to go ahead and really cure. I know on the floor you can give it a couple hours and it should be okay to walk on, but with canopies like this, I usually give it a good 72 hours just to be on the safe side, because you don't want anything to happen to these guys. Once you dip them, they're highly susceptible to lint, dust, fingerprints, all of that. So you want to make sure that no one touches these until after they're fully dry. And don't get all excited and start working on stuff before it's ready. And that's pretty much all we're going to do today, because the landing gears, the glue, the Future, they all have to dry. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Tune in next time for episode 6 of Ben builds, where we're hopefully going to put some paint to plastic. We've got a couple little things left to do here on the F-105, but overall, it's coming together really, really well. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the build, because I'm enjoying building it. Until next time, we'll see you guys back here soon on the next Ben Builds.